welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Sean. I'm back for another video. In this particular video, I'm going to be reading a letter that was sent to me from one of you. If you're brand new to my channel, I upload love and relationship advice videos, fashion related content, lifestyle content weekly. So if that's the kind of thing that you're into, go ahead and subscribe and become part of the notification gang by clicking that little bell. That way you'll never miss an upload from your girl. In addition to all of that, I'm an author and I've written 3 books. The first one's called The Dating Game: How to Find Yourself While Looking for Mr. Right. My second book, Breaking the Man Code: The Key to Unlocking His Heart. And my third book, Getting Unstuck: How to Create the Life You've Always Wanted to Live. They're all available on Amazon, Kindle, BarnesandNoble.com. I'll be sure to link all 3 of my books below so you guys can check them out. And if you want to work with me one-on-one as your personal life and dating coach, or if you'd like to submit your letter for a chance to possibly have it featured in an upcoming video, send me an email to itscoachshawn@gmail.com. That's itscoachshawn, SHAWN, @gmail.com. Alright, so now without any further ado, let's get started with today's letter. Let's go get it. Hi Sean, I'm going through a breakup and I ran across your YouTube videos. I was supposed to get married June 22nd, 2019. A few weeks before the wedding, I was experiencing crippling anxiety about a huge wedding and being in front of so many people. I was finishing nursing school at the time and he was finishing law school, studying, moving into a new place, fixing it up, etc. So many new changes. I talked to my fiance about how I was feeling and all the anxiety that I was experiencing, and at that point he told me, "You don't have anxiety, stop saying that." I would come home every day from class in a panic and crying. I've always been that way. Cheerleading competitions, basketball games, anything with a lot of people. Anyways, for a solid week we went back and forth about postponing our wedding until after we took exams to help ease the anxiety, or even have a smaller wedding or go to the courthouse. He told me he didn't know how his family would react, but everything should be fine. He is the one who actually texted the wedding planner, not me. That night we went over to his parents' house to tell them that we had decided to postpone the wedding. He told me his parents agreed that it was a smart decision, and his mother even mentioned about us running away and getting married. That night when we came home, we laid in bed and started looking at different places that we could run off to get married to. Everything was fine. A few days later we were laying in bed and I was about to go to sleep when I was scrolling through Facebook. I noticed that his cousin cropped me from a picture that she had taken at my bridal shower and made it her profile pic. I mentioned to my fiance and he said that he can't control what his family does, and that was that. The next day I noticed that the border around the picture was her camera roll. She had screenshotted tons of my pictures from social media and I had no clue why. So I texted him and asked him if he thought it was weird that she had cropped me out of pictures even though I was already on her social media in the background, and he responded no, and I ignored it. Anyways, later that day things were fine again. I asked him what time he was coming home and he replied. However, his aunt sent a picture in the family group chat that I was included in, and it said, "I owe myself the biggest apology for putting up for what I didn't deserve." And everyone was commenting on how they loved that quote. I was confused. A few minutes later, I was deleted from the group chat. I texted him and asked who deleted me, and he said his grandmother did. "It's over. You need to get your stuff and go home." Girl, what? Turns out his aunt came over and was telling him how I didn't love him, how I didn't want to marry him, and how I should be running down the aisle to him, and that nothing should play a factor in that. I was going to make a terrible wife, etc. He believed her. That evening I moved everything out of the house. The next morning I showed up around 8:30 to talk to him. He called his aunt and she didn't know that I was sitting next to him. She began to tell him that I didn't love him, I'm just using him for his happiness, I would make a terrible wife, I'm self-centered, only care about myself, etc. Crazy thing is, me and her never had a one-on-one conversation, and the only time I would ever see her was occasionally at Sunday dinners. He never once took up for me. He just let me sit there and listen to all of it. Now, he called his mom and tried to get her to come over and talk to us, but she wouldn't. I tried contacting her twice and she won't respond. She told my fiance she has nothing to say to me. When this first happened, he told me that his mother has to approve, and if she doesn't, then neither does he. He kept me strung along for 2 months after that, calling me, telling me that he loves me, having me come over, but hiding me and saying that he wasn't in a good place for a relationship, but he still wanted to talk to me and hang out. He told me that he's not looking to move on, that that's not what he wants. If he was going to be with anyone, it would be with me. He didn't even come to my graduation. He said he had to study. He went to the beach, and that day he came home, he FaceTimed me and acted all excited to see me. He told me that I looked so pretty, and he asked me when I was coming over to see him, and I did. Everything was perfectly fine. We had a great evening, laughing and talking. He acted like everything was great. That night I went home. I didn't hear from him until 6 p.m. the next day. He told me that things weren't going to work out because he found messages on his mom's phone of his family talking about how terrible of a person he is, assuming that he's still talking / hanging out with me. He said he doesn't want his family to think terrible things of him because what they think really matters. I haven't talked to him since. It's been 6 days now. I'm confused, heartbroken, devastated, betrayed. He tells me that he loves me and that he cares about me. How can you love me and not fight for me from then? How can his family and what they think have such an impact on him? What hurts the most is that his family completely shunned me like I was never a part of their family for years. I don't think it's normal for a family to completely shut someone out, especially with someone being so close to the family. My fiance and I never had an actual fight. We always got along, but he was never one to take up for me when it came to his family. I feel very betrayed. How will I get through this? I prayed so much. We are 24 and 25. It shows. It shows that you guys are really young, but definitely that he's really young. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but men mature at a much slower rate than women. And so even though he's around your age, emotionally, he's still acting like a boy. But even before he called off the wedding, there were warning signs that he wasn't the one. The fact that he dismissed your feelings about how you said that you were experiencing so much anxiety, that should be a deal breaker right there. You never want to be with anyone who will minimize and trivialize how you feel. Oh, you don't have anxiety. Stop saying that. You had a lot on your plate. You were planning the wedding. You were moving. You were, trying to finish nursing school. You had all these exams. One of those things would be overwhelming for a person. And you had all of them, all of it going on at once. Anybody would have been anxious in that particular situation. That's why they call women bridezillas, because planning a wedding alone is a lot of stress. And 9 times out of 10, the man just wants to show up. So you're planning everything and coordinating everything. It is a lot for anybody to deal with. Your first red flag was the fact that he didn't care how overwhelmed you were. He wasn't trying to help you take anything off your plate. But what could he do to help you to alleviate the stress instead of saying, you ain't stressed? First of all, he is a boy, and I'm glad that you didn't marry him. I know that it's hurtful, and you said that you're devastated, and you just feel so hurt and you're crushed because you put so much into him and his family, but he was never man enough for you. You may not see it now, but one day you'll see it as a blessing. A man that can't stand up for you, I'd rather know that as his fiance than as his wife or the mother of his children. You would never be able to pry him away from his mother and his family's tight kung fu grip, okay? He hasn't been able to cut the cord in 25 years. This was a boy. And I'm sure that when you get married, you want to marry a man. He would never be that. His family is trifling, and what really bothers me is I feel like everybody was in on it. You were the last to know, and that's the sad part to me. The cousin cropping you out of the pictures and the grandma getting you off the group chat, and everybody is talking about you. And I'm sure he knew about that. He didn't tell you until it was too late. He doesn't realize it now, but this is going to end up being one of the biggest mistakes of his life because now his family has to pick his mate for him. He has given them so much power in his life, so much authority. He has said basically, if y'all don't like her, then she can't stay. And you've never even done anything to them. Just because you experience anxiety, has anybody in his family ever heard of anxiety actually being a thing? That some people don't like crowds? I don't think there was anything wrong with you or the idea that you aren't comfortable in front of crowds. Anxiety is a real thing. There are people who don't like crowds. That doesn't mean you don't love your mate. Like, that whole idea is stupid and flimsy. I don't think that was the reason. I think there was something else, and they tried to use that as a reason. And he's so weak-minded that he let that fly. So that's the reason, because you don't like lots of crowds, you don't like big crowds. That means you don't love our son, you don't love our nephew because you don't like a lot of people being around. Plenty of people have intimate ceremonies. Plenty of people do destination weddings. Plenty of people elope. In case you don't know it, I eloped. My husband and I got married. My father married us in his living room in a wife beater with no shoes on because my husband asked me on October 2nd to be his wife. And then a few days later, he bought me a ring. And then a few days later, we were getting married. I was only engaged for a week. My husband couldn't wait to marry me. But I didn't want to deny myself of the whole, white dress and wedding and all of that. So we planned a wedding later on. But at that time, we were more focused on getting our first home first. So we got married, had a small ceremony, bought our house first, and then we had the big wedding and all of that. But that was our plan. I feel like instead of listening to so many people, he had so many voices in his head, so many cooks in the kitchen. By doing this, he has signed up for a life of being controlled, not even just by his mother. It's bad enough that he is a mama's boy, but he's also an aunt's boy and a cousin boy and a grandmother's boy. Like, he's everybody's boy. That's why he could never be your man. He listens to everything and everyone, and everybody's opinion matters. He doesn't even know how to think for himself yet. How could he possibly lead you and possibly a family, and he doesn't even know how to think for himself? He doesn't even know what he wants. He's trying to sneak and be with you behind their back, hiding and being with you. You guys are lovey-dovey and in love. He wants their love more than he wants yours, and you can't compete with that. Like he said, if my mother doesn't approve, then neither do I. She knows that. She knows that she has a say, and she's going to take her time and pick somebody that she likes. And he's going to go with somebody that his mother likes, and he's going to be miserable because he didn't choose his mate. One day, maybe if he gets the guts and the courage to be his own man and pick somebody himself, he'll be happy. But until he cuts off all of these voices from all of these family members who have so much to say about his love life and his future and who he should and shouldn't be with, he'll never be happy. I know that this hurts and that you're devastated and crushed because all of this is so new. But one day you're going to realize that this was one of the biggest blessings of your life, that you didn't end up stuck with this boy. With this boy that couldn't stand up for himself, with this boy that doesn't have his own voice, with this boy that's controlled by any and everyone around him, this boy seeking the approval of every single member of his family. He would never put you first. He would never be the kind of husband that you want him to be. He's so busy being controlled, he doesn't even know what his own voice sounds like because there's so many other voices in his head telling him what to do, how to do it, who to be with, who to love. He's gonna be miserable. Consider yourself blessed that you're free from that. If he didn't have the courage and the guts to stand up for you as his fiance, he would have never done it as your husband. All right, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Be sure to thumbs up if you did. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on life and love, consider purchasing one of my books. As I said, I've written 3. The first one's called The Dating Game: How to Find Yourself While Looking for Mr. Right. My second book, Breaking the Man Code: The Key to Unlocking His Heart. And my third book, Getting Unstuck: How to Create the Life You've Always Wanted to Live. They're all available on Amazon, Kindle, BarnesandNoble.com. And if you want to work with me as your personal life and dating coach, or if you'd like to submit your letter for a chance to possibly have it featured in an upcoming video, send me an email to itscoachshawn@gmail.com. That's itscoachshawn, SHAWN, @gmail.com. If you like this video, good news for you is I have hundreds of these videos that I've done over the years. Be sure to check out my Strawberry Letter playlist, and also be sure to subscribe right there. I love you guys. I'll see you all in the next video. Until next time, later divas and dudes. Deuces, honey.